Alright guys, so if you're anything like me, right now what we're dealing with is the non-JBL system, right? So this is the 1958 and this is the LC or Landcruiser base without premium. So I will let you know, my model is the LC base. I don't have the 58. There are some differences between the two. As pointed out in the description, the base of all of this is with the Beat Sonic amplifier and the BH10 adapter. So I went and bought both of those, knowing that I didn't get the JBL and wanting to have an amplified system. And that included the connector as well. But obviously, I want to go ahead and replace the door, all of my doors and my speakers, basically the vocals, the mids, the highs. And this is the reason why. So if you have a non-JBL system, the system that you actually have is Pioneer. Let me show you how I know. This is your stock speaker, okay? That's what's sitting right behind this right now. And the reason that we are replacing it with this, which is the Kicker KS 6x9, okay, so this is 6.5 Pioneer. This is a Kicker KS 6x9. And the reason why we're replacing this, and it sounds good by the way, but it could be better. Typical Toyota issues. That's your magnet. That's what drives your bass, your mids, all of that is there. It's just no, because that's a replacement. See the difference? See that little thing? See that big thing? Looks like a washer. Looks like a donut. That's what we're doing, all right? So this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We are going to require some splicing, and I'm going to use a digital voltmeter to properly identify positive and negative. But in the meantime, let's start with removing the door panel. So the first thing that we're going to want to go ahead and do with the door panel is our hook tool. And right here, there's a little plastic piece. In fact, let me see if I can get you guys a slightly better view here. Ooh. There, how about that? A little bit better, huh? So, right here is this plastic piece. This actually disconnects. If you look, you can see it's not part like molded. Take your hook, pull your handle back, and slip it between the door lock and the handle, and then just pull straight back. And there it goes. And then when we do that, we expose the screw, which is right there, that we're gonna need to go ahead and remove. So let's take our plastic trim piece. I put my stuff on the floorboard so I don't lose it. And we're gonna go ahead and remove this screw right here. So this is pretty basic Toyota. All the ones that I've worked on over the last couple of years, they all basically have this. I'm gonna use our hook tool again. And this is where things slightly differ. So down in here, there's a little plastic panel right there. Now, depending on your trim level, this is either hard plastic or a little bit softer. I have a little bit softer. So what we're gonna do is there's a seam right here where it's textured and it goes smooth. We're gonna put our hook tool right in there. Now this is a little difficult. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so we put our hook tool, now just there and pull, okay? And then the hook tool comes out. So you can see it goes down and then it pushes in. And then right in here and here are two screws. So we'll go ahead and grab our screwdriver again. And I apologize for the shadows, but I promise once you pull it, it will be very, very obvious where the screws are. So here's one. You don't want to lose these. These are really what stops your door from ripping off if you violently slam it or something. So there's one, and here's two. Okay, so let's go ahead. We've got our 2 screws, and again, put it on the floorboard, right? Okay, so keep this hook tool handy because we're going to use it for disconnects, which are coming up shortly. So let me reposition you guys again. There we go. All right, now we need to go to the bottom of the door there. Now, this is where certain things are going to be coming in handy. This is your body trim removal tool. Sometimes they look like this. Do not use a screwdriver for this part because there's electronics, there's all sorts, and you're almost definitely going to scratch your feet. So body trim removal tool, you can get these on Amazon, you can go to Harbor Freight, you can even get them at Walmart, but they're like less than $10 and they save you a lot more money than that in paint damage. So starting at the bottom, we have our plastic and we have our metal door. So let's go ahead and right here, okay, I'm on the seam, I'm on a button. So I'm gonna put this in between the door and I'm just gonna, there, we wanna hear that pop, right? Now, if you're doing this for the first time, these can be very difficult. So take it and slide it along, grab the bottom of the door, and then pull up like that, okay? So we've got this done. We can get our fingers underneath, and all of your buttons are along the outside. So just go here and pull, pull, and pull. And let me go ahead and come up. All right, now, this is where things vary a little bit from Toyotas in the past. Traditionally, you would lift up and there's like a little rubber gasket that hooks. So you grab this, pull up, and you're done. Toyota stopped that. They actually have the rubber gasket as a separate unit that's somewhat attached to this. So sometimes when you pull these doors, the rubber comes with it. Sometimes it doesn't, but at the end of the day, you're still going to use pretty much the same methodology of pulling it out and then coming up with it. There we go. Okay, now this is where things get really fun. We have to disconnect the area of the door, and that can get a little tricky. There we go. So coming through here, the very first thing is we have our 2 handles. Green is on the bottom and white is on the top. And on that, there's some colored bands. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can get a slightly better angle. Okay, here's some bands, a green band. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. And then a white one above it. Pull straight up on that. On both, okay? And then there's a little ball on each that just kind of goes into the handle and the lock. And just, if you rotate and pull up, it comes right out. The next thing that we're gonna do on this is there's a series of connectors, and you can see this one is taunt. So we're gonna grab this, and there's a little push down on the top towards the door. We're gonna push down and pull down, and that disconnected this. The next thing we're gonna do, if you look down in here, is your controls for the door. Now, this one, there's a little button that you depress, and it's on this side, okay, so towards the steering wheel. Depress that, pull down. Then your next one is your window controls, and the tab for that is also facing towards the steering wheel. So press that down and then pull back, okay? And then the very last thing that we gotta do is this guy at the bottom, and he's kind of a pain. So, and it's a pain because of manipulation. So this is your door illumination. It's a little white clip you press down, pull out in there, and now our door is completely removed. So we're gonna take this and put it somewhere safe because we want it to stay clean, right? Oops. All right, so now let's take a look at what we're left with here, shall we? Okay, so we have our door panels removed, and we have it set to the side. This is what we're left with. So the nice thing on all this is the only thing that we're after. This is a lot of busyness, so don't worry about it. But the very first thing we're gonna wanna do here is disconnect the speaker. And we're left with a purple and a pink wire. And we're gonna have to figure out, oh, where is it? There it is. Purple and a pink wire, and using a digital voltmeter, we'll figure out which is positive and which is negative. Wow, this thing doesn't want to come out. There we go. All right, now, in order to remove this completely, and this is all one unit, so this is molded. There's no screws into the 6.5. And this is a speaker adapter. We are not going to be saving any part of this. Unless you are. I mean, you can try to do it on eBay or something. Nobody wants to buy your crappy system that you're replacing though. Anyways, 10.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna go ahead and remove those, and then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna clip these, grab the digital voltmeter and the wire strippers, and we're gonna figure out which is positive and which is negative. And then I'm gonna identify that for you. But in the meantime, let me go get my 10 mil. We'll pull this. I'll show you guys what that looks like. All right, we got our trusty 10 mil. And it's just all 4 of these. Super simple. These really aren't even in there that tight, nor should they be. So go ahead and remove these. They go pretty quick. You'll notice that there's a screwdriver or a Phillips thing that you can do. If you want to use a Phillips, you can. In my experience, I've stripped them. It's just easier to use a 10 mil and be done with it. So, all right. So we have our 4. We're gonna reuse these, so put them aside. Okay, just like the door screws. We're gonna reuse them. And then lastly is we have this now. These can be sometimes a little unfun because it's really on that door. So I like to use their body trim removal and just kind of pry it off. And the reason why is they put like a foam to help with the vibration absorption. So, but in any event, we're done. That's it. It's out. This is what we're replacing, right? And we're replacing it with a much more better. So let's get into that, because now we get into speaker adapters and rings and all that other fun jazz. And I put the link in the description, so hopefully you bought these. I will say that for whatever reason, Toyota has made this a little funkier. The traditional rings, they do fit, but you need to drill 1 hole, so be prepared for that. But in the meantime, let's get into this guy. All right, guys, really quickly, we do need to mark where we're gonna drill. So this is a speaker ring adapter that's in the description. The one that comes with it from Kicker doesn't work. I've tried every orientation, so we're 3 out of 4 line up on this, and we just need to drill a little hole here. So grab your speaker ring in advance and line the holes up. They're gonna be, I'll be honest, they're gonna be a little wonky trying to get it right. So 1, 2, and 3, and then we know that our hole needs to go. Our hole needs to go on these speaker ring adapters. Our hole needs to go basically from this bottommost point between here, needs to go right about here. So we're gonna have to drill that out. That's just part of the thing. Again, this is brand new. So at the time of publication, there is no speaker ring adapters. I did this with the Subaru, and then there's some clown in the comments talking about, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. So let me repeat real quick. There's nothing on Crutchfield. There's nothing on Amazon. There's nothing anywhere at the time of the publication. This is what we need to do. So is it gonna work fine? Yeah, it's not gonna be janky or anything. I mean, yeah, you're drilling a hole, big deal. But don't come along in the comments in a couple of months talking about Crutchfield and that they make a ring and da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't exist as of right now, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and drill that hole, and we're gonna take this video over to mounting the 6x9s into this. Okay guys, so if you recall, we needed to make a hole in the speaker ring adapter. We needed to do it right about there. Got our trusty drill with a 5/16 drill bit, and we needed to do it approximately, we need to do it approximately between this corner and this hole. So now I'm gonna go ahead, and we wanna leave a little bit there because we need that tab. So I'm gonna get it started. Okay, so I got a little bit there going on. Now I'm gonna drill the rest. Be careful when you're doing this. Don't hold it like this because the drill's gotta go somewhere. So make sure your hand's clear if you do it this way. So there we go. We drilled as much as we melted, I think, but there's your other hole, okay? And the bolt's gonna go right on and hold it right here on the tab. So it's gonna be just as strong. You're perfectly fine, not that big of a deal. The next thing that we need to do on this is to actually install our speaker. And that is a straightforward process. So here's our replacement speaker. It really doesn't matter the orientation. This is going up. Actually, it does matter the orientation, excuse me. So we drilled our hole, and that's the part that's gonna go up against the door. There's an opening in these adapters, and we're gonna wanna utilize that. So the orientation in and of itself for the speaker, though, really doesn't matter. You can put it this way, you can put it this way. Ideally, you really want to put it so that these tabs are actually up. And the reason why is, again, our access is at the top there. So nice, easy access, put it at the top, okay? Kicker supplies screws, so go ahead and use the supplied screws, mount these on, and then we're gonna pick up the wiring and go from there. All right guys, so we got our speaker mounted onto our ring. Now we're gonna flip it over, and included with the kicker, depending on what you have positive and negative. So kicker on this one, specifically for the KS, states that you must use the crossover. So I learned after 44 years that those people are generally smarter than me. That's their job, so I should trust them. These are 3 different sizes, and there's 3 different size tabs, so we're just gonna put it in the corresponding one. Now you could screw up and accidentally put the big one on the small one, so don't do that. Make sure that these go on the correct corresponding tab, like so. And don't just jam them on. Okay, so there we go. We got all our little things on, our booties on, and then we're left with a positive and a negative. And for this, also included by Kicker, they give you the butt connectors, but you're gonna need your own crimper. Not that big of a deal. Now, here's somewhat of a little installation pro tip. Take this, excuse me, take this, run it through that just now. So we ran it through, now we have this. Positive is marked on here, leave that. This is going behind the door. Nobody's gonna see it. So take our butt connector, put the wire into there, grab our crimpers, crimp this one down. There's that. Grab our other one, take this and crimp this one down, okay? So there we go, we're all assembled. There's our speaker, it's ready to install. Now we need to go and clip the factory. So hold on, here we go. So now we need to go and clip the factory and then determine which is positive and which is negative. And for that, I'm gonna use a digital voltmeter. I'm gonna cover the clipping with you and the wire stripping, because we're gonna clip it, strip it, identify positive and negative. I'm not gonna do that with you guys on camera. If you don't know how to use a digital voltmeter and you really wanna learn, look it up. This isn't the time or the place. At the end of the day, you need to know what is positive, what is negative on the color coding. And that's what we're gonna stick to. So you're either gonna have to operate on faith that I know what I'm doing, and when I tell you this color is positive and this color is negative, you're gonna go with it, or learn for yourself and find out that I was right. Up to you. But in any event, we need to get this in. So let's go ahead and turn this around. All right, so we're back to our door, and here is our connector, and it is the pink and the purple. Go ahead and cut this as close to the connector as you can. Again, 0 adapters available through Amazon, through Crutchfield, through anything. So we need to go ahead and splice this. So we clip that. We still have our crimpers with the stripper. This looks to be about an 18 gauge wire, which would make sense. So we're gonna go through and strip that. And then still with the 18 gauge on the crimper, we're gonna go through and strip this. Oops, there we go. Okay, so now we have our wires exposed. Here's the thing. Now I'm gonna go get the digital voltmeter to determine between pink and purple which one is positive and which is negative. This part's very important. You don't want to get these wrong, because if you get them crossed and the rest of the system is not, you're gonna get a lot of static. If you go to turn it up, it's gonna sound like garbage. I did this for the Subaru Crosstrek, and people clearly stepped over when I identified the wires, because every now and then a comment would be like, oh, it sounds like garbage when you turn it up, what are you doing? And I say, check your positive and negative, and then I never hear from them again, which usually means they messed it up. So make sure you don't mess this part up. I will tell you, I already did the passenger side because I needed to figure out how to do the door before doing the video. And on the passenger side, there is like a aqua greenish, like lighter bluish wire, and then a dark blue wire. And I did use the digital voltmeter. So on the passenger side, and I'll put this in description, but the passenger side, dark blue is negative, and then the lighter blue / aquamarine green / other color is positive. So I'm gonna go ahead, I gotta turn the stereo on and play music, and then hit the DVM to make sure that I can figure out what is positive and what is negative. So I'm gonna do that, and we'll pick the video up. I'll get the camera a little closer, and then we'll crimp these on and put the speaker in. Okay, so we used our digital voltmeter. Just like the passenger side, the lighter color is actually positive. So in this case, pink is positive. So what we're gonna go ahead and do now at this point is soft mount this into here like that, and get our screws just to hold it in place for now. So, all that, there we go. I'm gonna put the two. There we go. Okay. So that's soft held into place for now. Okay. Now on our kicker wire, we have our positive. Positive is pink. Again, lighter of the colors. On the passenger side, there's going to be like a light blue or an aquamarine / green and a dark blue. Dark blue is negative. The lighter color is positive. Same here. Pink is positive and purple is negative. So we got this hooked up. We got this crimped in now. It's not really going anywhere. Last thing we need to do is to go ahead and mount these up. And we drilled our hole. There we go. Drilled our hole. It's still a little on the tight side. It is what it is. There we go. So you're gonna have to manipulate this a little. Do not tighten these down until you have all the screws where they need to go. So I have 1, 2, 3. I got this fourth one. Again, slight angle, just until I start to tighten it down. Then we're good to go. Yep, okay, so those are all biting. So now we're gonna go ahead, and again, you wanna do this equally. So do like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then come to the opposite corner. And that's what we're trying to avoid right there. So this is actually okay. So this one popped out. We're gonna put him back in. Secure him. 1, 2, 3. Come to the opposite end. 1, 2, 3. Now you can start to crank down. And the rest they're established and they're in there. So we're good. All right. So now we're installed, we're hooked up, and we just have to reassemble the door. So the one thing that we want to make sure that we do for the door is to uninstall, or not uninstall, but we want to pop this guy out and then put him back in the door. And I am going to go ahead and do that now. So I have another body trim removal tool. I'm gonna put it in here. These things, when you first do it, they're kind of a pain. So I have him, put your hand over. There we go. Little twist did it. Okay, so we checked the rest because all of our mounting holes are there. So we have no more. And now let's get into reassembling the door and buttoning it up. Now, I will say for those of you at home, if you don't trust me or if you don't trust yourself, now is a good time to test the speaker. So get in your car, put it in auxiliary, turn up the sound, and if you hear any distortion when you're around 50, 45 to 55, if you hear any sort of distortion, like a garble, the more it gets, you probably have a wire cross somewhere. You need to go back and reevaluate. But in terms of the front door, again, and it'll be in description, pink is positive, purple is negative on the driver. On the passenger side, dark blue is negative, and the lighter blue / aquamarine / green, the lighter color, is positive. So it's important that you get those two. Also important, and this will be in the description as well, make sure that your replacement speakers are all 4 ohm. Okay, you don't want to get like an 8 ohm or 2 ohm or anything like that, because it's going to screw up the load onto the head unit, and there's a good chance you're either going to nuke your head unit or more than likely, the safety is going to kick in, and once you start to turn the volume up, it's just going to shut off to protect itself from blowing up the head unit. So make sure you don't get those crossed. Test it prior to putting the door on. You'll be fine. So I've already tested it. We're going to get into reassembly of the door now. All right, guys, so we're into reassembling the door. If you obviously recall that we just did, we removed the button that was still in the door. Now, check all of these, because these go on the back side of this door. You can see the white clips. That's what holds this onto the door, plus the screws that we removed. So we pulled the one button. Here it is, right? And then when we go to the door, we can see we have one missing. So take this and slide it right back in like that. Okay. Now, hooking up is the complete opposite. So we're gonna start with the interior door light. Okay, I should see a little light come on here shortly. Yep, there we go, little dink. Okay, so we got the bottom of the door. Now the next thing we're gonna do is let me reposition this so you can hopefully see behind the door panel as I'm assembling. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now the next thing that we undid was actually the door handles. So you have a black and a white one. The black one goes furthest away from the driver first, pops right in. The white one goes relatively right next to it and pops right in. And the last one we're gonna do is this white wire that we undid first. Now we got all that in. What we need to do is make sure that we keep our door function to open the door when we need it open, right? So that's where these come in. There's two balls on the other side. If you remember, the green one goes on the bottom, and with the ball slides in and then folds back and locks into that channel again. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. There we go. And then put the green right back in. And you need to hear that pop. That's very important, because this needs to remain static for the cable to pull to open the door in the mechanism, okay? So very important. You can play around with your door lock to get the ball. So here's the white one, which is for the door lock. And I have it in there. And now it's in its little channel. And we're gonna push until we hear the click. Ready? Click, okay? Now, when you're putting this back on, go ahead and line it up with the rubber. Now, traditionally you would drape the front and then drop it down. We're not really doing that anymore because Toyota changed the game. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is put it on, make sure our holes line up right here, and then hit that side, come to the other side at the top and hit that in. And then you wanna go down the line. So hit here, hit here, hit here, hit here, and just keep going around, okay? So we're gonna wanna just keep going around, popping all this in. You don't gotta bang it, just pop it. All right, so we're good to go. We got our light on. All this is hooked up. If you want to, you can go ahead, turn the car on, make sure your controls go. But assembly is going to be the opposite of earlier. So we very smartly put our screws and all our stuff in a secure location. First thing we're going to start with is the screw that goes behind the handle up here. Okay, so that's in. The next are these two, and that goes behind the pocket here. And you'll be able to see there's like little red plastic tabs behind the hole. That's what you're screwing into. So we got that, and we got the other one. There we go. Okay. And lastly, we put our trim pieces back. So easiest way to do this, grab the handle, pull it, slip this in, and then square it up, and then just push. Good. Okay, this one goes in the handle, goes at an angle to the bottom first, and then the top pushes in. There we go. And that's it, guys. So you do the same thing, exact same procedure, passenger side, I've already done it. You now have replaced your 6.5 puny little Pioneer non-JBL system with Kicker KS. Again, I use the Beatsonic USA amplifier. It's direct plug-in, super easy. It basically equalizes out and provides more power to your non-JBL system so that you're on the same level. Those speakers that I just replaced were, I think, about $120. The rear, which we'll cover in another video, those are 6.5s. Again, about $120. The Beatsonic system with the adapter was a little under $400. Long story short, and what I'm getting at, it was a lot cheaper than the $4,500 premium package. And if you have a 1958, you didn't even get that option. So if you want decent tunes, very first thing you can do, even if you don't want to get the Beatsonic, replace your stock speakers, okay? Again, that's your magnet. How much bass, how many, like what's your mid, like what do you think your output is? It's just not great. So Kicker KS, you can go with any other brand that you want to. I mean, really, as long as you stick medium range on budget to high end, you're gonna come out with a much better sounding stereo by just replacing your stocks in both doors and the dash. We're gonna cover all that. So this is the front doors. You can see how easy it was. I did already identified the wires for you, so follow that and turn it up.